All the puppet governments led by Israel's bitch, America, are lining up to wage yet another war for the Jews, this time in Syria. It began last week when Netanyahu, citing Assad's reported use of chemical weapons, incited America to launch Stage 1 of World War III in a bombing operation on Syria.
The reported use of chemical weapons against civilians in Syria is terribly disturbing. And these events prove yet again that we simply cannot allow the world's most dangerous regimes to acquire the world's most dangerous weapons.
And all the players, from Jerusalem, England, France, all the way to Tel Aviv's colony in D.C., are acting out the Jewish script. Destroy Assad and let Al-Qaeda take over. Kind of strange. The bad guys in Afghanistan become the good guys in Syria. But when the Jewish tail wags the American dog, a ready submission to Zionist warmongers enters center stage.
Brushing aside Assad's denials, the administration's goal is to punish him and stop him from ordering another chemical attack.
There is no doubt who is responsible for this heinous use of chemical weapons in Syria: the Syrian regime.
The White House says it will release solid evidence that the Syrian government ordered a mass chemical weapons attack on its own people last week.
And here's the evidence we've all been waiting for from Obama himself, who's not quite sure if what he concludes is really all that conclusive.
Nobody disputes, or hardly anybody disputes, that chemical weapons were used on a large scale in Syria against civilian populations. We have looked at all the evidence, and we do not believe the opposition possessed nuclear weapons of that, or chemical weapons of that sort. We do not believe that, given the delivery systems using rockets, that the opposition could have carried out these attacks. We have concluded that the Syrian government, in fact, carried these out. And if that's so, at
the Jewish-run State Department, Kerry said just what Tel Aviv wanted to hear. Syria is the culprit. No evidence provided.
Our understanding of what has already happened in Syria is grounded in facts, informed by conscience, and guided by common sense. We know that the Syrian regime maintains custody of these chemical weapons. We know that the Syrian regime has the capacity to do this with rockets. And despite the excuses and equivocations that some have manufactured, it is undeniable.
No way. Russia says the rebels orchestrated a provocation with their own stash of nerve gas in order to force Israel's bitch, the USA, into launching an attack on Assad, whose secular government protects all minorities, including Christians, Kurds, and Druze.
Russia has warned the West against military intervention in Syria without the approval of the UN Security Council. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says the West is currently moving toward a, quote, very dangerous path, adding that any unilateral attack on Syrian soil would violate international law. Lavrov says Western countries have no proof that the Syrian government used chemical weapons in its fight against insurgents. The Russian foreign minister described Western claims of chemical weapons as hysteria.
In concert with Lavrov's protestations, Carla Del Ponte, member of the UN Commission of Inquiry on Syria, told Swiss TV on Tuesday there are strong, concrete suspicions that the rebels, not Assad, unleashed the deadly nerve gas. Assad dismisses the accusations as nonsense, that Syria would never release chemical weapons in an area where government troops were concentrated. But it's nonsense that America wants the world to swallow in order to give the Jews a balkanized state on its east, with competing jihadis vying for power under the all-seeing eye of the U.S. military. Not quite what the Quran envisions for holy war. Intensifying the terrorist network across the Middle East serves to further Jewish aim to see Christianity destroyed in the Arab world, and to spread a terrorist web into Russia's underbelly and China's Muslim frontier in Xinjiang as a means of destabilizing those two anti-Zionist countries. It's a Jewish cause for which every American will die for. Split the axis opposing Zionist aggression down the middle, from Lebanon's Hezbollah on Israel's north, through Syria in the center, to Iran in the east, and a pathway for the imperialist, antichrist Jewish state to run roughshod over the entire Middle East is set. Assad has ordered his forces to defend the homeland with their Russian-made Yakout missiles, to be fired upon U.S. ships stationed on Syria's coast in the Mediterranean. To be sure, he's defending his country against Jewish aggression, for which the U.S. military is just a pawn. For it's the same Jewish warmongers who pushed our military into Iraq who are calling for the bombing of Syria, signing their names to an open letter to Obama. Feith, Lieberman, Cohen, Abrams, Crystal, Kagan. Sounds like a guest list to a fatal bar mitzvah. They even got their artsy Jewish poster boy from France, Bernard Henry Levy, to affix his signature. But thank God we're beginning to see a fallout. The Arab League is against military intervention. Egypt rejects it. NATO member Poland wants no part of it. Italy insists the UN must decide. Britain's parliament is opposing Cameron. And Jordan won't let America use their territory as a launching pad for its bombings. We've got our own problems to deal with at home instead of sending our youth to die in wars for the Jews halfway across the world. And why should the U.S. punish a nation for alleged war crimes that itself is far more guilty of? What if countries wanted to punish America for its own war crimes? They could come up with 100 reasons to justify it. The empire has no clothes. Pax America is dying. Pax Judaica rises in its place. Fighting wars for the Jews abroad leaves a sick and dying empire licking its wounds at home.